right,
Thanks
good
for taking
morning,
the
y'all.
time. Good morning, Coach. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can see you and hear you.
Sounds good, Coach. You can get us started.
Okay. Thanks for being here and on Zoom, and just wanted to really congratulate our players on the effort from the other day on Saturday, or excuse me, on Sunday against the Raiders. Obviously, a much-needed win, and great for our spirits, great for the mindset. The guys have stayed resilient through all the adversity and struggles, and continue to work, and it paid dividends. And really want to give a shout out to the outside linebacker group as well. We've had a constant with DJ Johnson and Jadeveon Clowney, but when you see some of the other guys that have been coming in, late into the training camp and early in the season, guys like Charles Harris, Thomas Nkoum, Terrion Jackson. It's amazing that they got in so late and were able to get acclimated, learn our systems and all that stuff. And credit to Tim Luckaboo for the work he's done, and Bobby Maffei, those guys working with those outside backers and getting them ready. And so with that, I'll take some questions.
Santanos, we can start off with Mike K. Thank you.
Hey, EJ, how's it going?
Good.
With Charles Harris, he didn't have a. Whoops, sorry. With Charles Harris, he didn't have a full off-season program. He didn't have a training camp, but he's come in and played quite a bit of snaps those first 2 weeks he's been here. What have you seen from him as far as his endurance, his ability to kind of lock in and perform over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, we had great information on him coming in just from his experience with Coach Wash in Detroit, and so that was good to know. So we knew the character, the human, the worker, and all of that stuff that we were getting, and it's come to life. I mean, the guy's a professional. He stayed ready. He came in great condition, and which is credit to him, and has allowed him to be able to play as many snaps as he's played so far without all the work from training camp and all that. And so he's a true pro. He doesn't say much. He just comes in. He works. He's smart. He's tough. He's physical. He's the kind of guy I love to coach.
Coach, how much easier did it make for your job Sunday with a lead for a change?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's we like playing football, but we like it better when the offense is on the field. And so credit to those guys, Andy and the whole offense, and Coach Canales for putting that plan together. And they did a great job. And I got to give a lot of credit to Coach Canales as well. Just, I mean, through everything, he's the ups and downs. He's been the same guy every day, and I think the guys embrace that.
I want to ask you too, just about you've got some players that will be eligible to come back here soon. How much is that going to change things for you, or how close do you feel like they are?
I'm not sure about that. That's a question for Dan and for Coach. I know the guys like DJ Wanham and guys like Barno. Those guys are working their butts off, and you see them on the field with the rehab and all that stuff. But in terms of specific timelines, I'm not quite sure. But I know they're working.
You go with Mike Shalarte, followed by Alex Elo.
Hey, AJ, kind of following up on Dave's question, the guys that are close to coming back, I know they're doing rehab work physically to get ready, but how are they staying up to speed on everything that you're doing? I mean, they're focusing on getting healthy, but when they are ready to come back, do you feel like they're close enough that it'd be plug and play, or would they still have to kind of get acclimated into the, into what you guys are doing scheme-wise?
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard question to answer. I'll say that, I see what they're doing in terms of the rehab on the field. They're in the classrooms, in the meetings. They're engaged. They're locked in. I asked Barno I asked DJ Wanham a lot of questions about, our scheme from time to time, and he's sharp. He understands what we're doing in terms of the classroom part of it. Barno was here last year. And so, to answer the question in terms of how ready are they going to be and when they're going to be ready, I don't know that for certain. But whenever they're ready, we'll embrace them and take them in.
Looking ahead to Sunday, you've got an 0-3 team, which guys have said record means nothing at this point because they're still loaded offensively. What are you seeing from Burrow and obviously the receivers on the outside that they have and what they can do with the football?
Yeah, it's a very good offense, an excellent offense. They got great players at pretty much every position. And you look at, obviously, Joe is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, Gesicki at tight end, really good O-line, really good back with Moss. One coach that I have a ton of respect for, Zach Taylor. We worked together at the Rams. and just knowing the character of the person, the intelligence, how good of a coach he is, how he does with people and the team. So I know this is going to be a great challenge, and we don't prescribe and don't buy into the records. We know that this is going to be a tough challenge, and we've got to be ready.
Thanks.
Hey, Ejiro. Thanks for taking the time. Kind of building off that question, the Bengals are really good in third down, looking at their stats. They're 11th in the league in third down conversion and 8th in the league in fourth down conversion. How does that impact what you need to do against them? Does that change any coaching points?
Well, I think it's like you kind of look at us the first two games and, what we were able to do on offense and defense, flipping the script against the Raiders on third down, right? And I thought that was a big part of the game against the Raiders is that we were able to get off the field on defense. Our offense was able to sustain drives. And I think it's going to be critical in this game as well, and really a lot of games. And so it's a big part of it, and we understand that.
You know what? But it's interesting because that's like one of the key indicators of if a team is going to win, is if they're really good in third down.
Yes.
And they are, and yet they're still winless. Like, how do you explain that?
Yeah, I don't know much about what's going on with their defense, but yeah, offensively, it's you're right. It's weird because like I was telling somebody the other day, I was watching the film against the Commanders, and like if you watch the film and look at the scoreboard, it almost doesn't make sense because they're going up and down the field, they're moving the ball, they're converting on third down, and then you look at the score and they're behind a couple scores, so it didn't make sense to me. But we know that this is a big challenge for us. This is a very good offense on all downs. And we got to be ready for it.
Thank you.
All right, let's go. Joe Person, followed by Cassidy Hill.
EJ, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Joe.
Question first about something David asked you about, but expanding on it. We heard you and guys like Brian Burns last year talk about just the difficulties of getting after the quarterback when you're trailing in the fourth quarter. What differences did you see, tangibly in that fourth quarter Sunday?
Well, it's funny. Like it's difficult when you're you're behind and you're defending the runs a lot, and then it gets really difficult when you're up a lot too, and you're trying to preserve the lead. And you're trying to obviously we're trying to get out of the game, and we're playing different things coverage wise, so we keep the ball in front of us and all those things. And so I got to be honest, I still get I'm really stressed out in those situations because it's you're trying to get this game over with, right? And but at the end of the day, though, we're happy with the result, and it's always better to play from ahead than behind, obviously.
And then I wanted to ask you about Burrow and some of the experiences you may have had scheming against him previously.
Yeah, well, we played them in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and it's kind of cool to see like how this team is, and some of the players on the team have kind of evolved since then. And they were a younger team then, still very talented, obviously, with a great quarterback and great skilled players. And just kind of seeing what they have evolved to now. Jamar's a way more polished player. You could see their cohesion between Joe and between T. Higgins and Jamar and all them. And so the offense has certainly evolved, and they've got you could tell that they're more in sync than they were back then. And this is a very, very good offensive team.
Were you in the box that game? What are your recollections specific to you personally?
No, I was on the field, and it was emotional. It was fun, and I remember being, I don't really get that excited or emotional pregame, but obviously in the Super Bowl it was a little bit different. And I remember just before the game started, just sitting back there and thinking about just like my career and like just everything that we've dreamed about doing, and we're here. And I was pretty emotional. And then once the game started, you kind of get in your normal flow, and you're trying to figure out how to stop these guys. But definitely it was a cool experience.
And last one for me, thank you. What has Bryce Young brought to that defensive field when he's been running the scout team offense?
He did a great job last week. He did a great job yesterday. And, we got a really, really good quarterback that's given us a look there. And so that's been good. And the ability, like Joe's going to do, to move around and make plays from the pocket and make plays on a move, he's been doing that for us. And so it's been good.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey,
Thank you.
Coach,
Cassidy, we can't hear you.
What?
Cassidy,
Oh, we got one more? Okay, I'm sorry.
Cassidy, we cannot hear you.
While she figures that out, can I?
Go ahead, Mike.
No, we gotta go.
Oh,
Oh.
I was going to ask one more if you got a second. Since you're on Bryce,
We have to, go ahead.
I was
We
going
have
to ask
time.
you.
We have time for one more.
I was just going to ask you about Bryce. How do I know they want to keep helping him get better? How does being the scout team quarterback help him get better? What have you seen the ways that they're working with him to make him better for if he ever gets back on the field?
Yeah, I'm not very involved with that, but I do believe the more football you play, the better you are. So the specifics you'd have to ask Coach Canales.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you,
All right,
Coach.
thanks, guys.